Welcome to WestShore Unlimited, where we love what we do, telling local stories about the WestShore community and all it has to offer.
Today, we're at the View Royal Casino learning more about the town of View Royal and other great WestShore stories.
Coming up next is how a group of WestShore residents banded together to restore a long-forgotten island with a fascinating history.
My name's Rob Duffus. I'm with the Friends of Coal Island Society. I'm one of many members, and I grew up around here, and so Coal Island has been part of my family's history for a long time.
Tell me a little bit about the cleanup and restoration efforts over the last few years.
Well, over the last few years, the neighbors have gotten together and pulled up broom and cleaned up piles of debris and cleared some of the old paths. And it's really made a difference to the presentation of the island and the visibility. One of the functions of the Friends of Coal Island is kind of a neighborhood watch, and now there are a lot of eyes and a lot of binoculars on the island, and when people see something amiss, they're pretty quick to call fire, police, or bylaw officer, or whatever is required.
Hi, I'm John Rogers. I'm a councillor with the town of View Royal. I'm the council liaison for the Friends of Coal Island. They were formed in about 2005 as a result of a rash of vandalism and so forth on the island, and they realized that the buildings needed protection from the neighborhood as well as from the provincial and federal authorities. Their mandate is to make the island safe, prevent vandalism, and to promote its cultural heritage and preservation. So they've had some terrific success with broom pulls over the years, removing unauthorized lean-tos and sheds. And this has been done with the cooperation of the two municipalities. Coal Island is in Colwood, but View Royal also recognizes it's an important piece of its heritage as well. So the municipalities are cooperating well with the Friends and making sure that we all do our bit to preserve this vital and important piece of heritage.
Yeah, people might be surprised to learn that there are naval buildings on Coal Island tucked right up in the north end of Esquimalt Harbour. Why are they so far from the dockyard? What's their function there? The reason they were placed so far away from the dockyard is because they were designed to contain the gunpowder that was on board the ships when they arrived at the dockyard. If a ship accidentally blew up and its magazine was full of gunpowder, it would destroy the whole infrastructure that kept the Royal Navy at the time afloat. So as soon as the ship arrived, its gunpowder stores would be taken off, put in a small boat and taken up to Coal Island where they'd be housed. 1858 onwards, there were brick buildings gradually being constructed on the island to house the gunpowder, to house the Royal Marine Guard that kept the gunpowder safe, until really the whole island was covered in structures surrounded by a wooden palisade to keep it safe. And inside these structures the powder would be kept in barrels, and when it arrived on the island often it was unstable, and later on when gun cotton arrived it would be unstable. And it would be dried out in a boiler house on the end of the jetty before it was even allowed on the island. So some very dangerous practices went on there and a high likelihood of an explosion. We've just finished a $150,000 conservation project on the island. We've been addressing some of those progressive collapse emergency maintenance issues, and we now feel that the buildings are in a decent state where we can present them to people and invite people to come and look at them. And how does this site form part of a vibrant, livable community? What role is it going to take? So we're going to be asking the community those questions in the coming months.
Well, our hopes are that we're going to be able to have a dock so that people can kayak or canoe out to the island. And I think we have also hopes to actually put a dock on the island itself.
I've started writing a book about the legacy of the Royal Navy in Esquimalt Harbour. And these are some of the classic Royal Naval buildings. I've seen them in Portsmouth, Plymouth, and now here. So I feel at home when I see them and touch them. And recently, we've been doing a project on the island, we discovered that the guardhouse, built in 1858, is probably the oldest colonial masonry building in the province. So it's a wonderful touchstone to the early history of the colonial province.
There's a wonderful sense of isolation here, even though you're so close to civilization. And now with the cleanup, there's a nice meadow here where you can have a picnic and take in the old historic buildings, some of the oldest buildings in Victoria, and just gaze all around you at the water and the boats and nature. It's wonderful.
Smack Dab Video Productions, providing complete video production services in Victoria, BC.
Before we get started, I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what you guys do here and what you offer.
Thank you, Jerry, and welcome. We offer slot machines for our guests to come in and play, and we also have table games. We also have special musical events every other Friday, and we like to support our local music scene in Victoria, so we bring in local acts and they perform for our guests. We also, every other Tuesday, we also like to give a little bit back to our players, and when they come in, we have special treats that we complimentary to our guests, and they come in and we offer them on the floor. So a couple of variety of different things.
Well, that's great. And speaking of the floor, I look forward to getting out there, and hopefully you can show me a few things down there. You know what? Coming up next, we've got a great organization here on the West Shore that's raised a lot of money, and you're going to find out how.
It is an alarming statistic, but 1 in 3 Canadian women will experience violence from a spouse or a partner at some point in their lives. Pacific Centre Family Services Association has recently put on a world-famous performance to raise money for their initiatives.
I bet you're worried. We were worried. We were worried about vaginas.
On March 30th and 31st at the Isabel Reader Theatre in Langford, the Vagina Monologues were performed for the first time on the West Shore. Originally created by playwright and activist Eve Ensler in 1994, the Vagina Monologues are now performed by local actors and communities around the world as a part of V-Day, a global movement that aims to end violence against women and girls.
Statistically, 1 in 3 women are going to be affected by violence in their lifetimes, but nobody ever talks about it for the most part. So there's virtually every other disease or ailment has a fundraiser, has a walk, has some voice out in the community. And for people who've been affected by violence, there is no voice, there is very little discussion around it, and yet it's incredibly prevalent.
At first, women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy. But once they got going, you couldn't stop them.
One of the requirements of the Vagina Monologues, Eve Ensler, asks that 90% of the proceeds go to a local charity or nonprofit that is supporting women that are coming from violent situations.
So we're Pacific Centre Family Services Association, and we've been serving West Shore and Souk communities for over 40 years.
Funds raised from the Vagina Monologues and other V-Day events in Langford supported the Pacific Centre Family Services Association's Stopping the Violence program. The program provides counseling for women who have experienced abuse in an intimate relationship or were sexually abused as children.
It's about actually supporting these women, finding the strength to live as safely as they can. And whatever they choose for themselves and for their family to be safe is how we will support them.
The Vagina Monologues and V-Day events held on the West Shore this year raised over $14,000 for Stopping the Violence program. And according to Mitzi Dean, this couldn't have come at a better time.
We're facing real challenges at the moment in terms of realistic funding for our programming. The provincial government is setting mostly 0% increases in budgets, but our overheads are increasing all the time. So all the time that we're getting a crunch with our budgets, as most of our money is spent on salaries, what that impacts is actually the amount of hours of service. So the fundraising is really important. So we are immediately able to put those dollars to good use.
Not only was V-Day Langford a successful fundraiser, but it also brought the WestShore community together to talk about the issues of violence against women and girls, both globally and locally.
It's been a wonderful journey sharing with everybody who's been supporting us through the community. So it's meant that we've raised awareness about the programs, we're raising awareness about the issues. We're also making sure that people understand that that there are services and that people should be able to get support and help and to stop the violence.
I hope that people walk around with a higher sense of awareness and also more likely to have these conversations with other people about sexuality, about differences in gender and how we are socializing our young men and our young women, and just encouraging people to have those discussions and have those tough, sometimes tough conversations.
To learn more about V-Day and how you can support this global movement, visit vday.org. Pacific Center Family Services Association offers programs and counseling for individuals and families. For more details about their services, visit them online or contact them by phone.
Coming up, we'll hear from Graham Hill, View Royal Mayor, and his take on transportation. We'll also hear his interesting vision for View Royal that could change the community in a big way. Hey, all right. All right, guys, I'm out of here. We'll see you later.
View Royal is a place which we have called home for anywhere in the beginning, 10 years ago, several thousand people to now almost 10,000 people. It's been branded as a place to raise a family, to invest your home ownership money in, and it provides access to all parts of the region with a 20-minute drive anywhere. It's situated against great neighbors. It's on an isthmus that runs very close to the water. It has natural values that go everywhere. And it's established on heritage values that make a very big difference to the quality of life here. There are specific opportunities that are in play right now. The recent federal grant of $7.5 million added to the provincial grant means that we have enough money to restore the right-of-way, the ENN rail right-of-way, from Victoria to up Island, to a working level that will see passenger transportation come on, perhaps within a year and a bit. That means that we can get jobs out of that. It means that we can rejuvenate rail transportation, which in a modern form puts living rooms on wheels. You can take your laptop, your latte, and you can sit in transportation, and instead of fighting the traffic, you can move from wherever to your destination, getting work done or enjoying your morning paper, e-paper, if that's the way it is.
How do you see View Royal situated 20 years down the line here? How is it going to be different than it is today?
Wow, 20 years. If you look back 10 years, you can see some big difference, but I don't think that the next 20 years will diminish the rate of change here. There are development opportunities around this particular community of ours where we have a hospital. That is a major regional center for pediatrics and neurological interventions and life-saving measures. It employs close to 3,000 people. It's a major center, as I say, a major center of employment in which professionals will build around that space and bring in a large number of services and professional-based benefits to the community. That will see a large amount of traffic happen. It will also see people wanting to live here, who work and live here. And on the other side of our municipality, we have ever-improving services where parks welcome people to come and live and enjoy this space. So I can see in that period of time the population of View Royal reaching 14,000 people. Our official community plan says 13,000, but I can see it reaching beyond that. And as part of that, there is an opportunity at Fort Victoria, our RV park, where that could be converted into a city centre of European nature, a village that has live-over, boutiqued stores and shops, spaces for kids, gathering places, that would take advantage of the transportation corridors that are bound in that area, and would rejuvenate and provide a centre that becomes a View Royal village centre that is in itself reflects the values of this community. It's a terrific opportunity.
View Royal has been working for a new fire hall now for almost 20 years. In some worlds, that's considered short. However, it looks like they're going to see success soon.
My name is Paul Hurst. I'm the fire chief here in the town of View Royal. I've been with the department 28 years now. View Royal Fire is a composite department. It's comprised of 7 paid staff and 25 volunteers who are on call 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. The building that we're standing in front of it was built in 3 phases. Originally constructed in 1957. It had an addition put on in 1974 and then a further addition in 1987. Probably the key issue that we're looking at with this building is its non-seismic abilities to withstand any sort of seismic event. It was studied in 1993 and 1999, and both conclusions were the same, that the building wouldn't withstand a moderate event. Right now, with the current state of the building, staff safety is compromised in the event that the building comes down. Simple things such as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning are non-existent in this building. This building was built as a garage, so our new building will encompass, all the modern assets and attributes of a modern public safety building. And that's what sort of needs to be remembered. It is a public safety building, so it's a place where the community can come to in the event of emergency or disaster. It will have the capability of housing and staffing volunteers and career staff on a 24-hour period if needed. And it'll act as a place where we run our emergency operations center for the entire town. The thing that we need to recognize now, fortunately about this process, is building construction rates are at an all-time low since 2008. The town's ability to borrow money through Municipal Finance Authority is at a historical low. The right piece of property came available. It was the right size, and it's in a perfect location to cover all aspects of our district. So essentially the stars have aligned perfectly, and there isn't really a better time than now to move forward with this. This is the time to do it. Further delay is just going to cost more money. The reality is it's not a matter if we need a building, we need a new building, and now is the time we need to move forward with it.
We want to give you a quick reminder how to play responsibly. Sonia's here to tell us a bit about GameSense.
Absolutely. Part of the Great Canadian Gaming Corporation's commitment to social responsibility is having GameSense centers at our properties. At View Royal Casino, we have the GameSense Center, and here our guests can learn and educate themselves about the games of chance they're about to play. It's a great way to learn about what we offer and the safe tips.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much for those tips. And in a moment, we're going to learn a little bit more about the WestShore and the WestShore Chamber of Commerce and their role in this great community of ours.
Well, the WestShore Chamber of Commerce has been here since 1958. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that. It's been here a long time. It's a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to promote business and sustainable community development, one of Canada's fastest growing regions. We all know that. We here at the WestShore Chamber, we serve the municipalities of Colwood, Langford, View Royal, Metchosin, and the Highlands. The Chamber is a great opportunity to align and grow your business with over 500 other local businesses by networking and helping to build a healthy local community. That's really a priority for us as well. So do you want to associate with successful professionals? Clearly join your local Chamber of Commerce. It makes good business sense.
It's that time of year again. The sun's shining and people are out in their gardens getting their hands dirty. Well, not me. I'm more of a brown thumb than a green thumb. But this next story is about a little oasis that also happens to be a gardening center.
Today we are going to take a trip to a little urban oasis tucked away on the West Shore. It's about 15 minutes from downtown Victoria. Walk down the driveway of Lynne's Little Elf Garden Center and you'll find a dazzling array of beauties hidden around the back.
My name is Lynne, and I've lived on this property for 66 years. My dad bought the property in 1945.
It's a field day for plant lovers and gardeners alike. If you bring the kids, there are lots of things besides plants to capture your attention. All you have to do is look closely, and you'll notice the interesting residents in the gardens. It's almost impossible to shop here without filling the car. So to make life easier, grab a wagon to carry the load. What you put into your wagon has only been fed organic fertilizers and supplements.
We don't use any pesticides in here, and we also don't use any chemical fertilizers. We can't say that we're totally organic because the product that we bring in, of course, has come in from great big greenhouses, etc. But the minute that we have to fertilize it, we switch it over to organic fertilizer.
The Cedar Gardening Shop has stayed the same over the years, giving the place a distinct charm.
Ultimately, a small business is kind of a fun place to go. And if you know, and in here we always make it interesting for people.
Over the years, Ben has worked in a few garden centers. He swears that you won't find a store like Lynne's Little Elf anywhere else.
That it's like coming into a garden every day, tending things much like we would in a big garden. So we're more caretakers than, you know, garden center employees, really.
If you're a fan of rhododendrons, then this is the place for you.
Rhodos are a little bit of a specialty. We've got lots of them through here. We keep them some in big pots that we can't get anymore, just to show people, you know, the sizes that they can get to. And they are still quite a very popular shrub for, you know, our location here.
We were lucky enough to get a quick lesson from Tony about how to make a hanging basket, and it's easier than you think.
So what you need to start with, of course, is your basket. Make sure you got a drain thing in the bottom so that you won't have your plants rot. And I'm going to leave one of the hangers off. This is the 3-hanger one, so, until I'm finished planting, and then I'll put it on. And what I'm going to do is to give the basket some height. I'm going to start with something like, this is not written in stone for anybody, but depending on what they want, you could either use a geranium or anything with height for the middle. For this, I'm going to just use a green Dracaena for the center, and I'll get the soil in here, and you've got to get nice soil that's got perlite in it. You just use a nice potting mix. It's got to have air in it. Soil has to have air to breathe for the plants. You can't have a heavy, lumpy soil. So get your soil in the pot and get it up to where you can work the plants in, and then start with your center. This is what we call the center post. And you plant that in the middle, and then you pick, there's probably 50 varieties of plants you could use, but for this I'm just going to use a mix of different colors, and you just pop them out of their little holders. And a little rule of thumb that I've learned from years of gardening is when you're planting anything like this, they say there's a little saying, keep the sun at your back. In other words, don't haul your plants out and let the sun hit all the roots. It'll kill them. That's a trick that I learned years ago. So keep them, get them into the soil as quickly as possible. Put them in like this, the ones that are going to trail over the edge.
With summer just around the corner, gardening is a great way to escape from the hectic realities of everyday living.
That was fun though.
That was fun.
That was great.
That was fun.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Our stories are your stories, and we'd love to hear them.
And please contact us if you want to be a volunteer of the show, and make sure you check out our website.
That's it for today's show, but please join us again. Until then, enjoy your West Shore.